Hi, I'm Pam Sidhu. I am a mindfulness teacher. I'm also a life coach. I'm trained in the mind, basically. That's my background. I've been doing this since 2001. How we use the mind, how our thoughts actually work, just fascinates me. I'm also a holistic nutritionist. My day job is working on the radio. I have my own show every afternoon at one of the biggest British Asian regional stations here in the UK. I'm at Cyprus Radio, and my show is 1 till 3 p.m. Monday to Friday. And I love my music. I love connecting with that deeper part of ourselves, that inner peace part, and that's me. I know Z because Z has been hosting some of the workshops that I've been doing here in Leicester. She's hosted the first workshop that I did here in Leicester because I'm actually based over in Derby. So she hosted a workshop for me recently, which was mindfulness and NLP, and it was all about setting people up in the new year with the right mindset, practicing mindfulness, and also how to focus on what we want to come about in 2019. Strength to me, the first thing that comes to my mind is inner strength. Having that inner strength to get through our days, get through life. And what is coming to my mind right now is inner strength means not reacting to our circumstances, because we can't always change what's happening around us. But the one thing where we do have our own power, where we do have our own strength, is how we react to it in our mind. So I find that if I keep myself in the moment and don't react and shake things off, whatever's happened, shake it off, come back into the moment, that's my inner strength. Resilience to me, it means something very similar as well. It's about getting ourselves so strong inside that when the wind blows, we don't get knocked over. Again, it comes back to circumstances. Life is full of ups and downs. There's always things that can happen that is outside of our control. But building up that inner resilience in ourselves is what's always fascinated me, because I found years ago when I started off on this inner journey that you could get two people faced with exactly the same circumstances that would react completely differently. So for me, that started an education process, as in, like, why is that? What's actually going on internally with people that's different? And I've actually feel that I've cracked it. That would be my husband. He's very resilient. He has had similar training to myself. We're on a similar journey, a similar path. And he is my biggest supporter, always supporting me on, but also my biggest critic in a positive way. Always helping me improve, upgrade my mind. Yeah, so when I first started working in the media, when I first started on the radio, he was the one that was saying to me, you know what, you'd be perfect to go on the radio, just go for it. He encouraged me every step of the way. When I first went on air, if there was something that wasn't quite right, he'd say, you know what, maybe you could do this a little bit better this way, or, this would sound better if you did it this way. So yeah. I've always been resilient. I think I've always had this strength in me. But then circumstances did happen in my life which knocked it out of me a little bit. And then once I started on this journey, I've just grown that strength back and got myself back into balance.
I've just gone into specific, can you think of times that you've really needed that resilience and strength?
Yes. So do you want me to give examples?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Yeah, so there's times when I've needed that resilience and strength when I've had things going on with my business in the past. I've had things maybe going on with family members. As they say, you can choose your friends, but you can't always choose your family, and you can't always choose your circumstances. Sadly, when faced with family members even passing away, that's something that we can't control. And grief is something that's very, very real. And how do we, get past that? How do we grow past that? How do we continue here even when our loved ones might have left? So for me, I think times like that I've actually I've gone through it, and I've got even stronger, because when bad things can happen, but then I always think of it as in, like, are we going to sink or are we going to swim? We're going to keep going. And I find that if we can keep going, we can come through it even stronger and like more of an even more improved version. Yeah, just some of the examples that I gave earlier is times when I've not been that strong, and more so in my younger years, and I think because of the way the mind is and now the way I understand my mind is I would listen to other people. So other people would say, oh, you must be feeling like so such a thing, and it would be something negative, and then I'd take that on and I'd think, yeah, I should be feeling like that, where maybe I wouldn't have done if I hadn't taken that on. And this is what again got me to study the way the mind works, and I realised that we actually have a record button, where if we give something our full attention, we press record on that button, and whatever it is, whatever that learning is, it goes in and it's stored into the subconscious mind. And this is why Freud said that we're puppets of the subconscious. So when I learnt this, and I started to go back and look at my recordings and look at what have I actually recorded, what's my stuff and what's other people's stuff, and start to actually separate that.
You've sort of said a little bit anyway, but I'm going to get a really specific question because it's the main one for the sort of series. Like, where do you draw your strength from?
So I draw my strength from this inner power. That's how I would describe it, a universal power. And I do that from practicing mindfulness and from using different NLP techniques, different things that I've learned along the years. It's like I've got a toolbox, and no matter what's going on, I can pull out a certain tool and use what I need to get my thoughts back in alignment and then bring myself into the moment. Because I found that when I'm in the moment, when my thoughts aren't troubling me, everything's okay. So the translation, I'll give you an example of that. When I learned that the translation of worry in Latin means to choke, because when we're worrying we could be choking what's actually inside us. But when we can clear our mind and just be here now, because often I found that in the past, before I learnt this, I could be stressing about something that happened a long time ago. It wasn't happening then in that moment in time, and in this moment everything is perfect. Unless of course unfortunately you're living in a war zone or something like that, but right now we're really blessed because everything is perfect here. So I draw my strength from being in the moment, and even simple things like looking at a tree and seeing the beauty that's there, being aware of my surroundings, the sights, the noises that I can hear, being aware if I'm outside, can I hear the birds? What can I smell? What can I taste? What do I feel in terms of feeling the temperature, my feet on the floor? Just really bringing myself into my body and being here. And I find when I do that, I have this mental clarity, and I have that inner strength. Definitely. I have done a number of different courses, a number of different seminars, and took something from each different one. And there was, as they say, that saying that when the student's ready, the teacher appears. So I've had so many great teachers that have taught me so much and given me the right golden nugget of wisdom that I've needed at that part of my journey. I think it's a good question, that one. Strength and resilience, is it something that occurs in my community? I think it's down to individuals. Again, bringing it back to what I said earlier of what recordings is in an individual's subconscious mind, which they could have picked up from their parents and how their parents dealt with things. So when I'm looking at the immediate people around me, there's a mixture of people that are very good at they're very resilient to the circumstances. So say for example like my mum, she's always taught me, and she's always been one of these where she won't get caught up in things. And even as a child, she said to me, you can create heaven or hell in your mind right here, right now. And I don't even think she realised what she was saying to me, but that was like the best advice ever. Whereas I can know other people where the slightest thing, if they're crying about something that happened 40 years ago, and it's not here, and you just think you're not living because you're just stuck in the past. Definitely. I think there's a huge mind and body connection, and I think as we move forward, science is going to uncover this even more. I always tell myself that I'm feeling healthy, I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling well, and I find that it does have an effect on my body. There was an experiment that was done in Japan years ago called the Heido effect. I don't know if you've heard of it. Yeah, And they got people to meditate and send out different vibrations onto the water. Then they magnified and photographed those water crystals, and for the happy emotions those water crystals were perfect. For the negative emotions, they were black, they were discoloured, they were not right. Now this really got me thinking when I discovered this, because our bodies are 70% water. So I always give myself positive affirmations, and I tell myself good things, and I find that my body does respond. I think for myself, health and resilience is all about living in the moment, about educating our minds, and it's important for us to understand how the mind works. So if you imagine like you've got an iceberg, and the tip of that iceberg that's above the sea is the conscious mind, and they've proven scientifically we only use between 5 and 7% of the conscious mind. Only 5 or 7%. The rest of it is the subconscious, which is beneath the sea. So a lot of the times when people might be feeling not great, it's just because of what's stored in the subconscious, and we do have a choice. We can get back in the driver's seat, and we can take control of that. Often we just need the right guidance, to find the right teacher, to educate our minds in the right way. They've again said that we think roughly, on average, an individual will think 70,000 thought processes in one day. 70,000 thought processes in one day, that's a lot of thoughts. Most people are thinking about things that have happened or things that they've got to do. But if we can just quieten that down and just be in the moment, and we can use our 5 senses to stay in the moment, because obviously the mind needs something to attach itself to. So if we use our 5 senses, we're here, we're in the moment, we're immersing ourselves in the present moment. And I think the present moment really is the best present that we can give ourselves.